KMRO Enterprises, it's a sports marketing and PR firm. We've worked with Olympians. Ultimately, we work with professional and collegiate athletes, just growing their brand and creating opportunities. A neurologist had came in and basically diagnosed me with myasthenia gravis. I would say I was depressed, I was down, definitely trying to figure out answers like, is this gonna be my life forever? Like, what does my life look like? I'm such a go-getter, a hustler, always working multiple jobs or trying to be there for everybody and they mom. That was an adjustment for me, and I think that's ultimately the life lesson that this autoimmune disease has given me, is that I can't be there for everyone. The expectations of my loved ones and other people who are used to me being that, I think it's kind of an adjustment for other people too. I do have to choose myself a lot more, which is, some people see it as me being selfish, and I mean, that's okay. I accept it. I don't see being selfish as a bad thing anymore, because it's like, if you want me to show up for you, then I...
Welcome to another edition of the CYR Podcast. Today we have a special guest here with us. Every guest that we have on this show is special because we only bring in dope people. We got Kyiia.
Hey, what's
Kyiia,
up?
tell us about you.
Well, my name is Kyiia. I have a sports marketing... Hold on, let's cut this because I did have a question.
No, go ahead. Ask your question.
Am I supposed to be looking at the camera most of the time, or should I?
We talking.
Okay.
You actually are not the first person to ask that.
Okay.
So don't feel awkward. I'm not going to cut it either. Everybody about to see you talk about this, and it's fun, and it's going to make for good content.
I don't care.
Yeah, no. So like, if there's ever like points that you want to make to you, the viewer, like you could talk to them. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no wrong with talking to the viewer, but it's me and you. You know what I'm saying? So don't feel like you got to be staring into the lens the whole time.
Okay. All right. Let's get back to it then. All right. Well, I'm Kyiia. Thank you for having me here and for your time. Like I was mentioning before, I have a sports marketing and PR firm, KMRO Enterprises, and separately I have a nonprofit, Change of Omaha.
That's dope. You don't hear about too many people having PR firms here in Omaha. I feel like we're behind the times on that.
For sure.
How did you even get into that? I mean, I kind of know because you told me off camera, but like, talk a little bit more about it. Yeah.
Okay. So of course I played sports growing up. I ran track a little bit here and there, and then played volleyball as well before moving to Omaha. Like prior to freshman year of high school, I played soccer as well. So very familiar with the sports world and what that means to athletes, fans, and the like. So then from there, I also went to Omaha North High School. So shout out to the Vikings.
Eagles.
I was a part of DECA. And I want to say it was either junior or senior year, we went up to Milwaukee for a conference. And we got, at the time, it was the Pfizer Arena. So we got to tour the arena before the game. And then we also got to attend the game, too. So, and that's the basketball game for people who don't know. So the Milwaukee Bucks. So from there, I was like, wow, like you can actually work in sports. Like I didn't really... Like, obviously, there's people who work in sports, but, like, you don't really make that connection until you're in that space. So from there, I was like, okay, this could be something I do. So then upon graduating from high school, that is, I went to the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. I went in undeclared, so I'm taking, like, environmental studies classes, like, every class that I'm interested in just to see, you know, where I actually want to take my life and my career. And it was this sports communications class that I took. It was the spring semester of my freshman year. From there, they were like, well, the athletic department is offering, you know, a few spots for the spring game. You can come shadow and see like what they do for the spring football game. So I signed up, and of course, we got to shadow. We sat in the press box. We went to the post-game press conference and just saw all the behind the scenes of like from the media aspect. So then I want to say it was that April or May. It was most likely May. they were hiring student workers in the media relations office. So I applied and I got the job. It's funny because like my first assignment, World Youth Bowling, was in town in Lincoln.
Yeah.
So people from all over the world were in little old Lincoln, Nebraska, bowling. And my job was to capture content for an hour each day. And so I was like, wow, this is fun. It's easy. I get to interact with different people and hear about like where they came from or what they're looking to do. So then as the school season started in sports, I was the swim and dive SID, so the sports information director. So from there, like managing the social media, any interview requests that come in or stories that need to be put out, especially like, you know, the traditional pre-meet, post-meet races, things of that nature. So, I mean, it was at Nebraska that I really fell in love with like the business side of sports. I mean, my experiences were invaluable. I mean, I freelance for Big Ten Network, Fox Sports, ESPN, worked a few Big Ten championships. I got to travel with the team a couple times, so that was pretty fun. And then, yeah, actually, when I graduated from college, that's when I was like asking it was before I was graduating. So probably like that last semester, I'm like, all right, I'm about to graduate. It's about to get real. I need a job. So I'm literally asking everyone, like, who do you know? This is what I want to do. And so Brandon Meyer is actually one of the people I asked, and he gave me a whole list of folks that he's connected with. So I reached out to everyone on LinkedIn, and, you know, a couple people reached back, but it was one person, Jason Cole, who actually responded to me. And so I went down to Houston, and he's out of Houston. He has a sports marketing agency. I went down to Houston, interviewed for an internship. This was October, so my last semester of college, to start that January. You know, just looking at like moving fresh out of college, you know, how am I going to afford all of this? So those were the thoughts that I was thinking of. So I unfortunately had to decline the internship, which, you know, God works in mysterious ways, because that was October of 2019 and I graduated December of 2019. And we all know what happens at the beginning of 2020. So had I moved down to Houston by myself,
would have been all bad.
Right, exactly. So, you know, in the meantime, while I was still looking for jobs, I was waiting tables, and I waited on a gentleman that actually knew someone at KETV. So that's kind of how I got my foot in the door there. And so I started working at KETV in sales, doing local marketing for local businesses. And so what a lot of people don't realize too is like all the commercials you see on channel 3, 7, or 6, those are local salespeople going out to businesses to help them market and advertise their businesses, which is something I didn't even realize was a thing until I got in the door at KETV. So then being on the other side of media and also the sales, I think was definitely beneficial for my career. But then from there, I was like, you know, I really want to get back in sports. Like, that's what I want to do. So I hit up Jason again, and I was like, hey, you know, this is what I'm thinking. You know, it's like a year later now. Like, I know I declined the internship, but I'm ready for like a big girl job. And so I got that job. So what is this now? 22. I started in January, and by February, I'm in LA at the Super Bowl for one of our clients, assisting with the gala there. So that was like eye-opening. Like, these are the types of events, this is the type of money sports can raise, and these are the impacts that sports can make on, you know, just the everyday average person. So from there, I mean, I got to work with amazing clients, like even the Final Four when that was in Houston. So that was a great experience. But unfortunately, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease in Houston. So I have myasthenia gravis, which means my muscles don't listen to my brain. And so it was right before like my second biopsy that they were like, okay, quit your steroids, blah, blah, blah. And so I did that, sent me into a crisis. So I was in the hospital for 5 days. I moved back. Well, my parents came down to get me right after I was discharged, came back to Omaha and was kind of working from home, but then I just needed to take a step away to, you know, make sure that my health was okay. And then I started working at Channel 6. So kind of doing the same thing like what I was doing at 7 with the local businesses and, you know, just trying to expand my network there too. But then I quit my job. So April 1st, 2025 was my last day at Channel 6.
This past year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, and that was just because I'm like, okay, with everything that I have now and all the knowledge I have, I could do this on my own. And so, yeah, I guess that's kind of where we are now.
Facts.
I know that was probably definitely a long-winded answer. Please ask any questions to fill in the gaps.
Listen. That's okay. You just gave us a comprehensive, like, it was like a storybook. We were able to see the whole story right there. So it's cool.
Yeah.
I think the field that you're in, especially being like a former athlete, that's something that is not talked about enough. Like I think we see it with like retired, like NFL play, any retired athlete really that goes pro, like they usually go into like a field that you're in, or like an analyst or something like that. But it's never like, we're never told like going through college, like, hey, you could actually major in something like this. Cause I remember being an athlete and majority of us, like there was a few who didn't. And I had one homie who actually took a track like you, and now he's at, what is it called? ESPN, doing like big stuff. Shout out Jerron Irby, that's my guy.
Yeah. I'm gonna need your contact information.
Facts. But no, like all of us were just like criminal justice majors. They were like, that's the easiest one. Everybody just become a CJ major. Y'all can do your homework together, like blah, 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 blah. But there's a whole other side where like if you're passionate about sports and you're passionate about just like learning more, covering sports, being at the events, doing the things, like there's an outlet for that. Why do you think, specifically, I guess in Omaha, because we're from Omaha, why do you think like those are things that are not talked about or like marketed to us at a young age?
Yeah, I'm not sure, I guess, why it hasn't grown to Omaha. I mean, I think generally Omaha is, and Nebraska is kind of behind the ball on a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, my stepdad, so shout out to Joe, he's pioneering girls flag football in OPS schools, so he took that to their board, and I mean, hopefully something comes with that. But I mean, if you look at like Florida, Atlanta, well, Georgia, I should say, if we're naming states, Florida, Georgia, you know, Alabama, they have like multi-state champion flag football athletes. So that's just an example of like Nebraska's a little behind the ball game.
Facts. Hey, real quick, I just wanted to take some time to thank you for taking time out of your day to tune into this video. But also on the same note, I wanted to let you know that only 12% of you right now are actually subscribed to the channel. So like I would truly be grateful if you just hit that subscribe button for me and continue to tune into this content that I'm producing. I also wanted to let you know that I got something big planned for y'all. If you're an entrepreneur, business owner, or somebody who's looking to make money online, then you don't want to miss out on this 5-day workshop that I'm putting on. It's called the Mindset to Money Challenge. During this workshop, I will be unveiling all of my secrets that help me go from no clients, no business, no nothing, to making over $850,000 in the last 3 years. And check this out, I'm not holding anything back. everything that I use and know I will be giving to you during this, because the thing that I want to see happen is that you flourish in your business, that your entrepreneurship booms, and that whatever dollar that you're trying to touch, you're able to do that. So be sure to drop down in the description. I think we're gonna put the link somewhere down there. Drop down in that description, click that, and lock in your spot ASA Mother Loving P. And also, I would encourage you, make sure you get a VIP ticket, because with that VIP ticket, you're gonna be able to access a Q&A that happens before the workshop happens, where you get direct contact with me. You can ask me anything. And I promise you, I'm an open book. I'm not holding anything back, because I wanna see you thrive. So again, make sure you lock in your spot to the Mindset to Money Challenge today. And I'll be sure to see you there. Now let's get back to the video. Peace. Another thing you mentioned too, just in your story, is, and I guess we can hop right into this. So like, you were diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. Can you walk us back to just like that time and kind of give us a play-by-play of like, what were some of the things you were experiencing? Like, how did you find out? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this was November of 2021, about the end of November. I started noticing like I was having double vision. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what's going on. Like maybe I got a scratch on my eye, or I went to see an eye doctor. They're like, oh, everything's fine. You have a little astigmatism and you might have dry eye, so put some eye drops in. So I'm like putting eye drops in like 10 times every day. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't working. So finally I see a neuro-ophthalmologist at here in Omaha, and they assumed I had sarcoidosis, which is also what Bernie Mac had, being that I'm a Black woman. So they kind of just went off of how I looked and like the baseline of my symptoms. So this is now 2022. I had biopsies on my eyelids because those were my first symptoms. It was just the double vision. So they were like, it has to be from your eyes. So they did biopsies on my eyelids. It came back as like idiopathic inflammation, which means I have inflammation and they don't know why. So then I was on steroids, which helped the double vision. So then I'm like, okay, well, this isn't something too crazy. Like, obviously, it's just a little inflammation. It'll work itself out. So that's when I moved to Houston to work for that sports marketing agency. I was working remotely in Omaha for like majority of 2022. And then September, I moved down to Houston. And so then I started seeing a neuro-ophthalmologist there. And it's funny because they were like, well, Nebraska doesn't have professional sports teams. So basically, like, how do I trust the healthcare system? I'm like, well, that's an interesting correlation, being that you're about to do the same exact procedure that Nebraska medicine did. And the only difference was that they told me to quit my steroids cold turkey. So, and they're like, well, because you were on your steroids at Nebraska, that's probably why you didn't get like definite results. So let's stop your steroids before the second biopsy in Houston. So I did that. And when I tell you that like my whole right side of my face like was like stroke-like symptoms, like
you had Bell's palsy.
Basically, like my left eye was looking up at the ceiling. I couldn't close my mouth all the way. I couldn't smile fully. Like I had to cover my mouth when I chewed because food would fall out. I couldn't spit. I couldn't swallow. Like literally everything that you don't have to think about doing, my muscles were not communicating with my brain. And the reason that is because we're all born with a thymus gland, which isn't a thyroid. It's your thymus, and it's in front of your heart, and it's one of the main glands of your immune system, and it's supposed to dissolve or shrink when you hit puberty. Mine did not. So, I probably would have come across this at some point in my life, but it is interesting because I did get the COVID booster and the flu shot at the same time at the beginning of November. And like I said, the end of November is when my symptoms started. So we'll get more into that after I finish this timeline of the story.
Yeah.
So it's right before my surgery, and I'm like, this isn't right. So I go to the ER in Houston, and they're like, oh, it's just because you're off your steroids. As soon as you have your surgery, you can take your steroids again. And I just remember, like, right before I went in for my procedure, I'm like, listen, please remind me to take my steroids when I wake up. And that's the first thing I asked about, too, when I woke up. But lo and behold, I was taking my steroids and it wasn't working. So it was just getting worse. Now I couldn't even talk. Like, I'm slurring my speech, like I sound intoxicated or like I was having a stroke. And I was at work, so I called my rheumatologist this time, and they were like, yeah, you need to come to the hospital. We have a bed ready for you. So I'm like, what? A bed? So I'm thinking I'm going to go home that night, and that was completely wrong. Probably within the first 30 minutes of me being in my room, a neurologist had came in and basically diagnosed me with myasthenia gravis right there. So then I spent 5 days in the hospital getting IVIG, so someone else's antibodies pumped into my body, basically. And we did a whole bunch of tests. So I think it's an EMG where they hook up these needles to your, and it was my right side since that's my weak side, where they hook it up to your muscles and they basically electrocute you to see how your muscles react. And so the average person who doesn't have MG, their muscles would jump at the same rate each time, but mine would jump and then it would like slowly stop jumping. So then that's when I was diagnosed. But back to the COVID situation, that was interesting because the National Institute of Health actually released a study in 23, I want to say, the end of 2023, saying that there's been an increase of neurojunction disorders such as myasthenia gravis since the vaccine.
That's wild.
So, I mean, I don't regret getting it because, like I said, I just try to think of like, okay, if it wasn't that stressor on my body, it would have been maybe something else. So, I mean, yeah, that's basically why I moved back to Omaha, to be around family and, healthcare up here. And so last May, I had my thymus removed. That was a robotic surgery, and that was intense.
Yeah.
But I mean, my surgery was Friday, and I was home Sunday. I was not playing.
Nice.
I was walking up and down that hall with an 8-inch chest tube coming out, like with my little walker. Like, I was not about to stay in nobody's hospital. So
I feel that. I feel that. Yeah. I could only imagine the type of mental space you were probably in, just like going from being fully functioning, everything's cool, like you out, you doing your career, right, like you move, like you're really trying to like elevate in your life, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're hitting with this thing that you don't even know what's going on.
Right.
Like where or like what did your mental space look like at that time?
Yeah. I mean, at that time, I was definitely, I would say I was depressed. I was down. Definitely trying to figure out answers like, is this going to be my life forever? Like, what does my life look like? I'm such a go-getter, a hustler, always working multiple jobs or trying to, do different things, be there for everybody and their mom. So that was an adjustment for me. And I think that's ultimately the life lesson that this autoimmune disease has given me, is that I can't be there for everyone. So I can't feed into negativity. So it's like, if you're bringing negativity around me, I can't let that, like, I literally cannot allow you to bring negativity around me because it may cause a flare up or, like stress triggers my autoimmune disease. And I'm not in remission yet. So I'm still on steroids 3 years later, which isn't good for you neither. But so I think yeah, it was just a very dark place, especially like, okay, I worked so hard. Like I was working every day to save up money to move down to Houston. Like I knew I wanted to be out of Omaha in like a bigger city because as I kind of touched on before, I moved back to Omaha freshman year of high school. So I've lived in like Phoenix, Virginia, San Antonio. I've lived in these other spaces to where it was like, okay, I'm getting pulled in a million different directions in Omaha, so let me try and go be my own person in Houston just for me to get brought back. I'm like, ugh, like, but no, I think it was good though, because it showed me that like I can do it if I really want to. And then, yeah, I mean, working for the sports marketing agency in Houston, I obtained so much experience that it's like, okay, I can go do this on my own now. So now I'm definitely more at peace with it. I wouldn't say I fully accept it because at points I'm still in denial or, especially like when it's my body that's like, okay, Kyiia, you need to slow down. You did too much. And that could be like I did the dishes and the laundry and walk the dog and now I need to go take a nap. So like that's different because it's like I'm not used to being so tired or exhausted so easily. I think what's hard for me now with it is the expectations of my loved ones and other people who are used to me being that yes man or that yes person whenever they need anything or, you know, call me, I'm a phone call away. I just can't engage or drop everything I'm doing. Or even if I'm not doing anything or didn't do anything, some days it's just like, I just need to lay here. And that's enough because that's what my body is telling me to do. Yeah. So I think it's kind of an adjustment for other people too. I do have to choose myself a lot more, which is difficult since that's for better or for worse. I don't really do that. So, some people see it as me being selfish, and I mean, that's okay. I accept it. I don't see being selfish as a bad thing anymore, because it's like, if you want me to show up for you, then I have to show up for myself, or else ain't nobody getting showed up for. So
I was just about to say, like, we can't show up for other people if we're not making sure that this one right here is taken care of.
Right.
And I think a lot of people have that whole equation backwards. Like, they'll adopt the ideology of, I want to make sure everybody around me is good, but I don't got to worry about me. And it's like, you can't actually do that. Like, if you're sitting there giving to other people, but you're not giving to yourself, you're really just giving half-assed to them.
Right.
They don't actually get the benefit. And so you're doing them a disservice as much as you're doing yourself a disservice. And so I think it's really dope that you're able to, you know, fortunately and unfortunately through your circumstances, realize that I have to start making this one a priority.
Right.
Because that's what we all need to do. Like, we need to make this one a priority. I know a lot of people want to try to adopt like this selfless life. But I think as a believer myself, you know what I'm saying? So I speak from a position of a believer. Like I know I will never be Jesus in the sense of like his selflessness.
Right.
I will aspire to be. But there's so many people who are like, I'm going to live my life like Jesus. And it's like, bro, no, you're not. Yeah. That's why Jesus was Jesus and you are you. So like, be Jesus. You and let Jesus be Jesus.
Yeah.
And take care of yourself. Stop trying to like pick up your cross and crucify yourself. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like, I truly believe like if we live a life where we don't take care of us, all we do is just have harbor resentments for everybody else around us when they don't take care of us in the same capacity that we take care of them. You know what I'm saying? And we don't talk about that enough.
Yep.
Like walking around bitter because this person over here ain't giving me the same energy that I was giving them. Like, I feel like that's a conversation that every so often, not as much anymore because I reset my algorithm on social media, but every so often I'll see something pop up and I'm like, you need to focus on you. You need to focus on you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think that's dope. What did your depression look like when you were going through it? Like, what were some of the things that you noticed about yourself looking at hindsight?
Yeah.
That was like, you know, I probably was depressed going through this.
Yeah. I would say just lack of motivation, no appetite, not really finding the joy. Like I'm just going through the movements or the motions because I know that's what I have to do. So looking back, I'm like, I wish I would have enjoyed those experiences just a little bit more. Cause I mean, Final Four, I was walking around with an eye patch. Mm-hmm. So, and it's like, I'm eating Justin Reed taking a picture, but here my eye is looking crazy, or I'm taking all these cool pictures, and it's like, I don't look like myself. The steroids, I gained 20 pounds on them when I was at a higher dosage. So I just wasn't, clothes that I put on that I used to look good in, no longer, I couldn't even button them. So now I'm having to spend money on more clothes. So yeah, I just really wasn't confident in myself because, when you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't look like who you used to, then that's just also the constant reminder that like, okay, something's going on. Or just like even opening my eyes and like, oh, I got double vision today. Like that would just kind of set the tone for the day. Yeah. But something like I've thought about, and even like working through my mental state, is like, I've really worked hard on being happy. And I've tried to like think of a way to explain it. So it's like, so I came up with like, when you want abs, let's say, and you want to work out, you can't just wake up and be like, well, where's the abs? I said I want abs. Or you can't just walk in a gym and be like, okay, I'm here. Like, where's the abs? Like, no, you have to consciously tell yourself to get on the ground and like sit up and go down, sit up. And you're doing that for however many reps, however many sets. So before you're done, you could have probably did 100 sit-ups, and then you feel good about yourself. It might burn a little bit, might hurt. And so I think that's the same with like mental health. Like you can't just say, oh, I want to be happy, and then you wake up and you're like, well, where's the happiness? I said I wanted to be happy. Why am I not happy? Or you said to be around people that make me happy. Why am I not happy? I'm in the space. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, you have to make a conscious effort and really work out your brain to be like, so back to the negativity thing. Like if anything that's negative, and I'm not perfect, I still go off sometimes, but it's like, I have to consciously tell myself I am not going to engage in that. Or if someone does make me uncomfortable or rubs me the wrong way, I can't engage myself like I used to, because I know how it will make me feel. And that may rub them the wrong way, but at the end of the day, it's like, I have to do what's best for me, and I can't engage in negativity. Like I have to make that conscious effort to like, be like, no, I want to be happy. So if that's not bringing me happiness, then I have to disengage from that.
Definitely. Yo, real quick, I almost forgot. As a licensed therapist, I'm big on mental health, and I'm big on making sure that you're taking care of you. And I also want to get rid of this stigma that we got towards mental health. Like, there's nothing wrong with talking to a therapist. So if you're somebody that's out there that really wants to start getting their mind right, who wants to really start understanding their emotions and being able to process things that you probably repressed, that you probably ain't talked about, that you might have been even ashamed about talking about. Or check this out, you might not be ashamed about it, and you just ain't found a person for you to talk to. You want to find somebody that's relatable, that can understand you. You got a little swag, you know what I'm saying? A little swag. And they not too far removed. Make sure that you tap in with Bear Company Counseling. All you got to do is hop down in the description, click the link, put in your info, and the front desk rep will reach out to you and get you plugged in with a therapist that I promise you, as long as you're ready, will help you to get whatever you need right up here so that you can succeed in every other avenue and aspect of your life. Tap in with a therapist today at Bear Company Counseling. Now you can get back to the video for real. I promise I won't hop back in again. You make a good point. And I think a lot of people get stuck in a place, right? Whether it's a state of depression, whether it's like a state of not being able to change their physical physique, they get stuck in these places because one, they don't have an identity of self. And they also don't have a destination for self. And so it's just kind of like where I'm at right now is results of I don't know. And so I'd rather be anywhere but here. And when you would rather be anywhere but here, you can walk in a circle and you'll be anywhere but the place that you started at, but it might not be the place that you want to go.
Right.
And so I appreciate when you talk about just like you have to make those conscious decisions, because it's very true. Like if you want abs, you consciously have to go against the grain. You consciously have to go against the things that you unconsciously have been doing that have led you here, right? And I talk with my clients about this all the time. Like those mental reps, like a lot of people think they come into a therapy office and it's like, since I'm in therapy, I'm gonna get fixed. I'm gonna start healing. And it's like, nah, dog, that ain't true. Like you're not gonna heal just because you came in here. I don't got no magic sauce for you either. Like, don't ask me to fix you. Don't expect me to fix you either. I'll tell you I'm not about to fix you straight up. Like, look you dead in the face. Like, I'm not fixing you. You have to fix you. I gotta fix me. We all have to fix ourselves. But it's a matter of like, am I willing to consciously and intentionally like take self-accountability, one, take a deep look at myself in whatever position that I am and own it, like own that position, right? Because if we don't own our position, if I come into a room and I'm like, this happened because it's their fault and it's them and it's them and it's them, while some of that might be justified, right? And there's a lot of situations where we could point the finger and it's justified. If I do that, my healing is based on whether or not they change or whether or not they make a move for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I take that position of like having accountability for the spot that I'm in this moment, I then can start making decisions to change intentionally and consciously. So like I felt that 100%.
Yeah. And I mean, back to the whole physical workout side of things, it's like you don't go to a physical trainer expecting the same workout plan that they gave the last person, because everybody's body's different athletic ability, experience, or lack thereof. I mean, age, you know. So yeah, you can't, if one person's like, oh, read this book, it'll change your life. It may not change your life. Everybody has a different sauce, basically, like what you were saying. So yeah.
Going through this process for you, did it test your faith in God?
No.
Tell me about that. How?
I think it kind of brought me closer, and I'm not religious. I would say I'm more spiritual. So like me and God talk every day, but I probably couldn't tell you the last time I've been inside of a church. But yeah, I mean, I think I have a better understanding of just where I'm at and my purpose, like through all this. I don't think, not that I can recall like one time that I was like, why God, why me? Like, you know, like, why is this happening? Just trying to think of like, what is it teaching me? So like I said, like to slow down and take care of myself. And I mean, I think also really leaning into that has led me to basically my successes and where I am on April 10th. You know, I just believe in myself so much that like I can, ultimately I do feel God through me. And that's where it's like, okay, I know I'm about to make this move. It's crazy for me to quit my stable 9-to-5 job with benefits in the state of the world right now. But I'm like, no, I believe in myself that much that I know that essentially I won't fail. Even if it's not exactly what I envisioned, I don't view it as a failure. It's just redirecting me to the path I need to be going down. So yeah, I mean, even like these past couple weeks, like I've just been getting like these overwhelming, like joyful emotions where it's like, okay, I'm on the right path and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So just trusting and listening to my body, listening to myself and my intuition, which I believe my intuition is God speaking through me. So yeah.
I feel that. One of the things that you just mentioned in there, you said you don't see failures as a bad thing. I think like when I hear that, I think being an athlete, that's something that you learn very early on if you're fortunate enough to have a good teacher around you. I know for myself, that's something that I didn't learn. Failure for me, like I took failure kind of hard, and then I just stopped caring about failing. Not because like it was like a stepping stone, but because I was just like, fuck it. Like, it is what it is. And it didn't propel me to try harder until later on in life, until I started to connect those lessons. And so I think anybody out there that is in athletics, and you're somebody who wants to like be good at whatever it is that you're doing, you're able to learn that lesson from a very early age, one that a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Right? Like when I don't win the match, or I don't win the game, or I don't win the contest, it sparks this thing in you where it's like, I'm about to grind harder, than I'm about to learn from my mistakes. I'm about to watch film. One of the benefits of playing like college sports for me is like, we would watch film, we would analyze like where we went wrong, where our mistakes were, so that we could get better. Would you say that was a similar experience for you, or like when it comes to just like failures and understanding that?
Yeah. I try to do a lot of self-reflection. And I think I'm probably too hard on myself. My loved ones tell me I need to give myself grace, but it's just like I have such high expectations of myself and just where I'm going, to where it's like, I could have did better there, or I could have responded better in that sense. So, I mean, yeah, I would say.
Yeah. Well, with that, like, are you like beating yourself down, like when you feel like you could have did better, or like are you overly critical of yourself?
Probably. I mean, it's hard for me to speak to that because I don't necessarily view it as overly critical, but I guess others may think that I am. And it's not like negative self-talk, I guess. It's more just like ruminating on the conversation or the situation, or so just overthinking in that aspect.
Okay.
But I mean, that's because I'm thinking of all scenarios, like what could have been said or how it could have been better. I mean, especially like in PR, you're trying to navigate. That's what it is. You're navigating the story and conversation. So trying to do better in my personal life with that too.
Facts.
So
It's a matter of, because it makes sense. It makes sense for PR, right? Like everything is optics. Everything is like, that's a very important part. But then like when that bleeds into personal life, it's like, how do we flip that on and off?
Right.
You know, what do you think it would look like to find balance with that?
I think probably, just being transparent and having open communication. And it goes back to like setting the boundaries for myself, and level setting those expectations for the ones around me. So just going back to people wanting me to be here, there, and everywhere. I can't say yes all the time. I have to be like, okay, I can do this, or I can do it this day, or I can't do it at all. So I think that's, and I mean, also just the transition of where I'm at in my life too. I am an entrepreneur and a businesswoman now, so I can't, like I said, drop everything, even if I didn't have this autoimmune disease. So, I mean, I think it's a learning curve for everyone, myself and everyone around me, because it's all new. So
yeah. Who were some people or things in your life that helped you along your journey of just like healing and recovering your mental health from the depressive time that you went through?
Yeah, definitely my family. So my parents, grandparents, siblings, friends. And then I have 2 dogs, so they're my little big emotional support animals. So I would say that. And then, I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts or watch a lot of podcasts. I know the Breakfast Club may be controversial, but they do bring on some good guest speakers sometimes that like talk through their stories and like what they've learned from it. And I'm a big like proponent of that, of like learning from others, and because I'd rather learn from your mistake than me go make that mistake and now I'm looking like help. So no, some of their guest speakers are good, like when they touch on navigating tough times and getting out of tough spaces and overcoming and what that looks like. So I would just say, like I said, making that conscious effort, like, okay, instead of scrolling on Facebook and looking at all these crazy posts, I'm gonna go watch some YouTube podcasts about this or listen to music because I know music brings me joy. Or I mean, sometimes I can tell where I'm heading to a depressive state is when, let's say, my clothes are all over my room and it's like, okay, I obviously didn't care enough to pick them up and put them away, and my closet is color coordinated, okay? So I'm very organized. So when I become disorganized, that's when I physically can see, okay, if my physical space is chaotic, then I know my mental's chaotic. So I at least need to get my physical space in order, so then that way I can reorganize my brain.
Facts. That's the whole premise behind this podcast, CYR, is clean your room. Like that's like, as I was like just like incubating like this whole thing, I'm like, I thought back to like when I'm working with my clients and they're talking about just like being in depressive states. A question I will always ask them is like, what does your room look like? And especially if I'm doing virtual clients, I'll be like, show me your room. They're like, oh, no, my room is dirty. And I'm like, okay, like, let's start with that. Like, let's start with cleaning your room. Because when you clean your room, like, you could for real, like, start to, like, make the necessary movements in your life. Because you'd be surprised, even if your room is picked up or whatever, like, there are things in your room that you haven't tended to. The little things. Like, I've noticed with people, they're like, I don't understand why I'm unhappy. I don't understand why like this is going this way, or like I can't feel the way I want to feel. Like I got a good job, like I'm making money, like I have fun, like I thought I was practicing self-care, but I don't know why I feel stressed.
Right.
And it's just the little things, like we fail to tend to those things. And so that's why like I always like to bring it back to cleaning your room. Like, when's the last time you moved your dresser and vacuumed behind that thing? When's the last time you dusted off the surface?
Right.
When's the last time like you even looked under your bed to see what was actually under there, or flipped your mattress? Most people don't even flip their mattresses. People need to start flipping them things.
Okay.
Like for real. Like
and washing their pillows.
Or
get new pillows.
Yeah, you be sweating on that thing for years, acting like it's do something. Right. You know what I mean? But it's those little things, like when you start paying attention to those details, then you start paying attention to the little details in your life. Like, okay, everything is on paper going good, but like, am I actually like sitting back and like not being tense? Am I actually just like breathing and enjoying myself in this moment? Or am I just constantly go? Right. Like you're able to start figuring out these little things. So like when I heard you say like, when I look at my room and it's dirty, like I know I'm depressed. Like that's right on point. That's right on point. Yeah.
And I mean, like same with my room, then it's like, okay, now I can organize my thoughts and I'll think I have like this crazy day ahead of me. But then I start writing down what I need to do. And I'm like, wait, it's really not that bad. Like, let me just chill and, I'll be okay. Like, it's not as hectic as what I'm making it out to be. So
Facts. In your life, like, did you always have people around you who were like feeding into your mental health, like helping to build that up? Or is that something that you had to figure out on your own?
I'd say probably a little bit of both. And not a knock on like my family or anyone like that, but I don't really think like mental health was maybe necessarily talked about. I mean, of course we said like, I love you, and like asked about each other's days and we would pour in each other that way. But I think like specifically, in that aspect, I would probably say it was more so my own work and it was definitely like post-college. But it's interesting, and it's a great thing because I have a 12-year-old sister, and she actually asked my parents if she could see a therapist.
Nice.
So yeah, she's in 6th grade, so you know how middle school is, and yeah, she wants to play, or she is playing flag football, so you know how
dad coaching, she got to, yeah.
So she, I'm proud of her for recognizing that, hey, maybe she needs someone else to talk to that's outside of family. So she specifically said she wants someone who will just listen, because as you know, I talk a lot, so it's hard for me to just listen sometimes, unless you tell me like, hey, Kyiia, I just need you to listen. But if you don't say those words, then I'm talking.
She said, I got something to say.
Yeah.
No, I feel that. With your family not really placing the emphasis on it growing up, were there struggles that you had with your own mental health growing up?
I would say, yeah. I mean, for one, I'm biracial, so my mom's white, my dad's black, so it was always the you're not white enough, you're not black enough. I don't want to be either of those enough. I just want to be myself. But you know, it's always a box someone's trying to put you in, and when you're not what they envision or think you are, then then you're too this, or you're too much that, or not enough. And then of course, so I wasn't raised by my biological dad. My brother's dad raised me. So then there was always just that own internal conflict, not necessarily something that was placed upon me, but it may be. I mean, I was a child. I don't know. You take in things to your subconscious, but I would say, like just that constant, like, where do I fit in? Like the whole being biracial. I mean, my dad that raised me, I call him dad, so it's not like I didn't feel like he wasn't my dad. I was still 3, so I'm old enough to know you're not my dad.
Yeah.
And then I'm just a very observant person, so I see how people interact with other people, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm obviously the outcast here, so, and that could have just been me internalizing things. I'm not sure. My mom, she also had me when she was 16, so, I mean, naturally, just what comes with having a young mother, and it wasn't like anything terrible. Like, I was still fed, had a house, a roof over my head, clothes. So I didn't struggle in any sense of that. But, you know, we're just growing up together. So.
Facts. Do you have a relationship with your biological dad now?
Yeah, now I do. Yep.
When did you guys start to develop your relationship?
Yeah. So I moved out of Omaha when I was 2, and we probably kept in touch here and there. But it wasn't until the 4th grade, my mom had a MySpace, and I was being nosy on her MySpace, and I looked up my dad, and I was like, is this my dad? And so then I just reached out to him. And then I also found my brother on MySpace on my dad's side. And so they were both still in Omaha. I was living in Virginia Beach at this time. So yeah, they were able to connect and build their relationship back up. And then it wasn't until the 7th grade that I came up here to visit that I kind of re-met everyone. And of course they all want to be like, oh, remember me? I remember you when you were in diapers. And I'm like,
nothing about you.
That was 12, 13 years ago, or however long ago. So yeah, that's kind of when I re-met everyone. And then moving back up here freshman year, you know, I wanted to have that relationship with my dad and my other siblings. And now some of my siblings have kids. So it's like trying to be that older sister for them. And then, yeah, just being a daughter, I guess, to my dad, whatever that means. So, yeah.
Walk us through the internal battle of, because I'm assuming, you can correct me if I'm wrong too, like being raised by somebody who it appears like they care about you. Not saying that they don't,
right?
Like, but you know they're not like your biological parent, like, and and just not having that connection to your biological parent at the time. Like, what was that internally like for you?
I mean, I wasn't like, I guess I was okay with it because it was kind of like all I knew. Like, I remember when I first called him dad, I want to say it was in the first grade. Like, I was just like, thanks, dad, or I don't know, it was something simple. But I remember like getting all nervous and worked up, like, oh my God, I'm about to call him dad for the first time. And I just, like, we didn't even have a discussion about it. And ever since then, I've just called him dad. But I mean, yeah, we talk on the phone all the time. I talk to my grandmother. That's honestly probably my grandmother, my dad that raised me, and of course my mom, and then my grandmother on my mom's side too. But ultimately, like, those people, I would say, made me who I am today. I mean, I probably talk to my dad and grandmother more than my brother does, and that's, you know, his biological son and her biological grandson. So yeah. And I mean, I'm planning on going down there to see them next month in Texas by myself, like without my brother. So it's not really like something that I think about, I guess.
So y'all always been locked in pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Like my grandmother's, she's from New York originally. So I'll have like these long coats, you know, New York style coats, because she's in Texas, so she doesn't need them anymore. But she didn't have daughters either. So she kind of, I don't want to speak for her, but maybe sees herself in me a little bit. Our birthdays are a few days apart too. So
Facts.
yeah.
If your family would have placed the priority on mental health, like while you were growing up, how do you think your life would have been different? If any difference?
Well, I would say, I think it would definitely played a role because growing up, I moved every 2 years. So my dad wasn't in the military, but he works for USAA.
Okay.
And when I say dad, I'm referring to my dad that raised me. So we moved a lot, just either because they wanted a change of scenery, or like in 2008 when the recession happened and they're closing offices down and we have to relocate. But yeah, I switched schools every 2 years. So it was always like that first year, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of quiet, I'm observant. Then the second year I get comfortable and kind of used to things, but then it's like, oh, it's another change, time to move again. And it's not like we had to. I don't know, it just happened to be every 2 years kind of, which I really appreciate because I got to see a lot and experience a lot. And now I think that's why I probably can't sit still. I need a constant change of scenery.
Yeah.
But I think it would have helped me be more confident in who I am, because coming from kindergarten, first grade in Phoenix, then I'm second and third grade in Norfolk, Virginia, then fourth, fifth grade, Virginia Beach, and then sixth grade in Virginia Beach, but a separate middle school from everyone. So I'm like constantly trying to figure out like, okay, where do I fit in and who am I? Like, I don't think I really even knew who I was growing up. And I would say it was probably after this diagnosis that I like fully embody like who I am, and you know, I'm confident I could walk in any room, and you know, I am who I am. I'm not trying to conform or fit in. So I think that's how it would probably have helped.
Definitely. You had multiple factors like going against you, and that's like I think that your position is one that many people could relate to, but nobody ever talks about it. I think I only seen one person really like on a certain level dive into it. What's his name? What's the rapper dude? He corny. You ain't corny, bro. What's his name? He be coming out with some cool music sometime. He came out with that 1-800 the 1-800 hotline song. Light skinned dude. He looked like he white, but he really mixed. He got the glasses.
Oh gosh.
You don't know who I'm talking
about? No.
Oh. Dang, man. Once I turn these cameras off, I'm going to remember it, and I'm going to be like, dang. Y'all know who I'm talking about. If you know who I'm talking about, go ahead and drop in the comments and say it. But like he talked about growing up, not being Black enough, not being white enough, not really fitting in, not knowing his identity. So you got that working against you, right? Then you have this thing where you're never actually able to establish like you had your primary relationships. You had your parents, you had your siblings, you had you had all of that. But like as we develop, and this is something that we learn in my profession, like as you develop, you start to get your secondary relationships because we form our individual identities, and you were never able to like solidify what that was for yourself. And so like when you're talking about like not knowing who you were, like nobody could blame you for that. But that's a hard position to be in because how am I supposed to figure out me when, one, I got the world telling me like, you're not Black, you're not white, you're not this. And I don't look like my mom all the way, but I also don't look like my dad because this ain't even really my dad. But but even my real dad, like I really kind of don't even, like we two different skin tones.
Right.
And then I can't even have an established friend group.
Yep.
Mentally for you going through that and having to journey through that, what was that like?
Yeah. I think I just got used to it. Like, I think in the moment, I didn't really think anything of it because that's just what it was. I mean, I remember, I don't know if I was ever really like sad to move or if it was more like excitement because we have a new place to go to and, you know, just see what's on the other side.
Is it hard to maintain friendships and relationships now?
I would say that's a good question. Yeah, probably. Because this is the longest place I've lived. So, I mean, outside of course, going to school for 4.5 years in Lincoln and then...
That was a commitment.
Right. Being in Houston for 8 months. I've been in Omaha since 2011. So... I mean, I'm still friends with 1 or 2 people that I, you know, first met when I moved up here. And, you know, I take that very seriously because I understand just like the ebbs and flows of life. So, yeah, people who are loyal to me, I'm definitely loyal to them. And it may not be in the ways that they necessarily envision it, or we may not even talk every day or for months, but it's like, hey, if I have an opportunity or if I'm thinking about you, I'll pick up the phone and, you know, extend that arm. But I would say it's difficult. And especially because something I had to navigate, being that I moved around a lot and never really fit in, I was very inclusive. So I would like invite all my friends over to my house and like, come on, I don't want nobody to feel like, oh, why didn't you invite me? Or why didn't you hit me up? Like, you're fake, da-da-da-da-da. So I invite everybody over, but then it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because now this person is beefing with that person. And why didn't you tell me this person was there? And I'm just like, listen, y'all are doing too much. Like, I don't know how this works. Most of my friendships last 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not out of a falling out. But no, I still talk with my friends, Kyiia and Mia. They live in Tennessee now. They're cousins, but we went to 4th and 5th grade together. And we lived in Harbor Club Apartments in Virginia Beach, which is actually next door to the Atlantis Apartments where Pharrell grew up.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So it was a chain-linked fence that separated the 2 apartment complexes. So
Nice. We're getting close on time. Real quick, I just want to give you your flowers. Like going through all of this, like you still managed to like see the light at the end of the tunnel and move toward it to the point to where now you are running your own business. You just jumped off the porch and you said, I'm done with my full-time job and I got my own full-time job in my entrepreneurship, which I think is really dope. And there's so many people out there who might be having struggles and don't necessarily know how to continue to keep their eye on the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that's normal. You know what I mean? But it's stories like yours. It's people like you. It's people like me. It's people like everyone else who I brought on my podcast, like being able to hear this, that like can spark some encouragement or spark some light for them so that they can keep on going. So my question for you that I want you to give to the people is like, if there's somebody out there who is doubting themselves, if there's somebody out there who's struggling with identity and like trying to figure out who they are, if there's somebody out there who might have just had like something alter their life in a way where it's like, I'm not who I was, like I can't function in that same capacity. How do I get through this? How do I do this? What advice would you give to them?
I guess just it takes a lot of self-work. It's definitely not easy, so I don't want to lie and be like I said, you're not just gonna wake up and be like, oh, I'm better, I'm happy. But just to keep going, you know that wherever you are now, for better or for worse, is just the right now. Who's to say like your life could change tomorrow? So just keep on going. Another thing that I really embody is creating opportunities for myself. So no one's just going to come knocking at your door like, hey, Kyiia. Granted, kind of that situation happened with the Olympian, but I still set myself up for that to happen. So just doing even the small work, such as cleaning your room. And, just so start with cleaning your room and then maybe taking out a piece of paper and writing down just what your current thoughts are in that state, and then going from there. But just knowing that wherever you currently are, you're not stuck there forever, because I know it's easy to get wrapped up, especially like with social media. If you're in a down state, stay off of social media unless you're proactively like searching for those self-help or the positive messages. So just making the conscious effort to be happy, because we only have one life and time is the one thing we don't get back. And I'll be damned if I look back and be like, what did I do with my 20s? I was sad, miserable, and now here I am picking the pieces back up. So
there you go. And she kind of breezed over it, but she said, that's how I landed the Olympian. Yo, go ahead real quick, plug in with what you're doing with your business and the type of clients that you've been working with.
Yes. So KMRO Enterprises, it's a sports marketing and PR firm. We've worked with Olympians, track organizations, and helped put on track camps down in Atlanta. And ultimately, we work with professional and collegiate athletes, just growing their brand and, back to the amplifying voices, sharing stories, and creating opportunities. So everybody has a story and we all got money to make.
There we go. So what she's saying is, if you're an athlete and you want to get your story out there and you're trying to build a brand for yourself, go ahead and hit her up. Where can they reach out to you at?
At Win with KMRO on Instagram.
Spell that out.
WINWITHKMRO.
There we go. Yo, I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you.
Appreciate you sharing your story. Appreciate you being vulnerable. Like I said before, there's going to be somebody that's watching this that will be impacted by what you shared. And so continue to share that. You're in marketing, so like your story is your brand, and that's what people need to see. And everybody else that's out there, I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of the CYR Podcast. When you clean your room, you change your life, and you create your resilience. We out.
Thank you.
Hey, that was smooth. What you think?
No, I liked it.